Tim's News Explosion. 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 Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Tim's News Explosion on this Monday, the 9th of October, 2023. We are live on the Wilmsfront YouTube channel, the Wilmsfront Odyssey channel, and the Wilmsfront Rumble channel. Hello to everyone in the live chat, and I've also got power chats active where you can send a donation message, which I'll read out on the show to support not just this program, but Unshackled Productions as a whole. It is 9 p.m. here in Melbourne, Victoria, and it's the final countdown to Voice Referendum Day on October 14th. Tonight, it was, well, the voice singing contest finale. So we had the voice singing finale last night, and then this Saturday we have got the voice referendum finale. Now, after Channel 7 aired the voice grand finale, they had a 7 spotlight special on The Voice, the final pitch. And now on the yes side, they had Labor Indigenous Senator Melindindra McCarthy. She's the Assistant Indigenous Australians Minister. Linda Burney, who is the Indigenous Australians Minister, she didn't want to go on the program and, well, debate, namely Jacinta Price, the Liberal Country Party senator from the Northern Territory, on the no side. Now, joining Melindindra McCarthy on the yes side was former midday and current affair host Ray Martin. Now, the whole purpose of these having 4 panelists on this, the final pitch, is they had to be all Indigenous. And Ray Martin, he is 1/16th Aboriginal through his great grandmother. And now Ray Martin says that he discovered this later in life. And well, you might have all seen the footage last week of Ray Martin, an official Yes event in Marrickville in inner West Sydney, which was attended by Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. Ray Martin, I'm not sure if he was the MC, but certainly spoke. This is what he said, well, about one of the no slogans: if you don't know, vote no.
If you don't know, find out what you don't know. What that asinine slogan is saying is, if you're a dinosaur, a dickhead, who can't be bothered reading, then vote no. The words of the referendum could not be simpler than they are. The no vote organisers also keep asking Albo for the details. What about the details? At this stage of the game, the details simply don't matter. They never did matter, honestly. They're irrelevant.
And now, this was actually not from last week, but the week before, but they were only aired last week. And Ray Martin, of course, went into damage control saying, no, I wasn't calling no voters dinosaurs or dickheads. I was talking about if you follow the slogan and decide to remain in ignorance. Well, this is how he tried to explain it when he returned to the current affair set with current host Ali Langton.
Language is important, and the language that you used in that speech was inflammatory.
No, I don't think it is. I'd stick by the language.
So if you had your time again,
I'd say it again.
You would say.
I'd say it again.
You would say it again.
It was in Marrickville Hall where I was speaking. I wasn't talking at the Catholic Church at the up at the lectern. I wasn't talking at the women's.
I'm not referring to whether or not the language was savoury.
I hear it all the time.
It was whether or not you think it's disrespectful, because it sounded disrespectful.
I'll tell you what's disrespectful. Voting and admitting your ignorance and going ahead and voting on such an important issue as this.
Can I just say that I spent 3 hours just out and about yesterday talking to people about this, and a lot of people trying to get their head around it, and a lot of people who don't understand it. And there are a lot of the people who then feel that they're being called a dinosaur or a D-head because of that.
It's part of the Aussie vernacular, by the way. I hear it all the time on morning radio. It's not like I've suddenly stuck out there and said something. But I think it is... This is not about politics, Ali. This referendum, there's no politics. I mean, I've covered politics for 60 years.
But this is very political now, all of it,
Well, they've made it political. I haven't made it. I think both sides have made it political, especially the...
It's not often that Ray Martin, he's struggling for an explanation. As he said, he's been in the news business for 60 years. Now, if you saw my discussion with Anthony Dillon last night, we discussed that Anthony Albanese hasn't given us the detail about how the voice, if the referendum passes, how it be legislated. How can you vote on the detail when it hasn't been given? So it's not that you're not... How can you find out detail that hasn't been given? And I guess that's where Ray Martin said the details don't matter. So we heard some honesty at the end there. And for those who don't remember much of Ray Martin, well, Google or YouTube search John Safran, Ray Martin, and also the Paxton family as well. That's probably what he's most remembered for. And Ray Martin, he didn't do much better when he went head-to-head with Jacinta Price on 7 Spotlight last night.
Now, if you vote in this really important election and you vote no because you don't know, well, I'm sorry.
Let's be clear about the slogan. You're an intelligent bloke, Ray. The logic behind the slogan, you're an investigative journalist, is quite clear. When people seek answers to their questions about how this whole thing will operate, how people are elected, we don't know. We don't know. We're told it'll come after the vote's taken place. So if you don't know, if you're not clear, evidently the government's not clear as to how this whole thing is supposed to operate, well, that's a red flag to me.
Now, joining Jacinta Price on the no side for the 7 Spotlight pitch was independent Victorian Senator Lidia Thorpe. She's one of the remaining progressive no voices. And in case you didn't see, there was another video by the Warriors of the Convict Resistance. So there was the original one, which was put out in January of 2022, which Australian Meditations has been charged by the Australian Federal Police of using a carriage service to offend Lidia Thorpe. She wasn't mentioned in the original video, but she was mentioned in the sign in the background, which read Lidia Thorpe abo whore. Now, I won't play the full video because it is very racist, that video, and it's clearly designed to be, and I'd probably get taken down by YouTube. But I will play you the beginning and the end.
This is a message from the Warriors for Convict Resistance to the Australian government and Senator Lidia Thorpe. Hail White Australia.
Now, in the original video, it ended the same way with the Aboriginal flag burnt and the 3 masked men in that photo performing the Nazi salute, which is, well, it's on its way to be banned in Victoria, the public display. It's before the upper house. And so when this news broke, it was apparently sent to Lidia Thorpe's office. The account that posted it on Twitter was removed, suspended by X, and Home Affairs Minister Claire O'Neill said that the Australian Federal Police were investigating and that were giving Lidia Thorpe all the support that she needed. So there was a lot of, obviously, sympathy in the political media class on that day. Sarah Arbo on the Channel 9 Today show called the Warriors of the Convict Resistance a Nazi terrorist organization, even though they are not listed as a terrorist organization. I mean, it's just a name that's created, well, the opposite for the Aboriginal sovereignty group, Warriors of the Aboriginal Resistance, whose acronym, by no mistake, is WAR. But Lidia Thorpe, she completely blew any goodwill that she may have got from the political and media class with, well, probably her biggest meltdown yet at her press conference that day, which was taken live on the ABC and by Channel 9 as well.
Well, this is what you wanted. You wanted to shut me down. This building behind us is where it all began. In 1901, the racist constitution come out of this building. It's caused nothing but pain and misery for my people in this country. The referendum is an act of genocide against my people, and the Prime Minister knows exactly what he's doing. He wants the fucking fascists to come out and get me. That's what he wants. Because his violent force that he has sent to protect me can't even protect me. Refuse to protect the black sovereign woman because the police are part of the problem in this country. And I can't ring 000. I can't rely on Victoria Police after they kill my people. So where is my support? Fuck off, you. Where is my protection in this country? You want to paint me as an angry black woman? Well, you are about to see an angry black woman, because I am not hiding this time. I've been in exile for 4 months. 4 months I wasn't allowed to be in my own home because people want to kill me out there. They don't want my voice to be heard over the next 9 days. They want to feel good about the referendum. The referendum to assimilate our people into their constitution. So what do? They send the fascists. Only 2 have been arrested after 2 years. 2 years. I'm not waiting 2 years for the latest fascist fucking violence to come at me. I've hired my own black army. And this parliament has to pay for the black army. not the army that continues to violate black women and black men in this country. I don't trust your army. I only trust my own. So I'm not hiding. For the next 9 days, you're going to hear from me and you are going to see me, and I am not scared. I am ready to fight for exactly what I went into Parliament for, and that is my country, my people, and I won't stop. And I'm not scared. So come at me.
Now, why was Lidia Thorpe at that press conference still wearing sunglasses and also chewing gum the entire time? What was with that? And let's also remember, like, she talks about the Aboriginal people, her people. Remember, she is part white as well. Her father, Roy Illingsworth, is white. Well, she took her mother's name, Thorpe, because, well, that's the Aboriginal side of her family. And, well, she was rightfully called completely unhinged and ridiculous for claiming that that Anthony Albanese is the one who's happy and incited fascists to come after her. Now, she claims that she, feared for her life. She had to move away from her home for 4 months. Now, the original video, which she claimed was threatening towards her at the beginning of 2022. Remember that she went to a strip club at 2-3 in the morning with herself and just a few friends. There was apparently not a black army protecting her then, so clearly she didn't fear for her safety then. In fact, when she was heckled, she was the one who, remember, she went off, any black man that stands with a white little cunt such as you have a small penis. And remember, she said one of them, you are marked, which that can be interpreted as a threat, since, well, she had a relationship with a bikie, Dean Martin. And despite this latest threat, she still appeared in the Melbourne CBD on the weekend with apparently not any police protection. This is by the Whistleblowers, Activists and Communities Alliance. So this is a far left Twitter account. So she appeared at the Stop Black Deaths in Custody, and she's just standing behind a ute there. It doesn't look like she's got a black army protecting her there. So I don't think she's not fearing for her life there. It doesn't seem there. Now, if you want to stand in solidarity with Lidia Thorpe, FYI, make sure that you vote no if you want to express solidarity with Lidia Thorpe. And it looks like no is going to win in a landslide. While the 7 Spotlight voice poll, this is just a viewer poll, at the end of the show, 72% no, yes, 5% undecided. That's not a scientific poll, but news poll is. The last news poll last night had yes at 34%, no at 58%, and don't know at 8%, when it was a forced choice, because it will be in a compulsory referendum. It was 37% yes and 63% no. There is the Resolve poll that was published in the 9 newspapers last night, and it had at 61. It had 56% for no, 44% yes, and all states recording a no vote, even Victoria, which if that happens on the night, Victoria no, I'll be so proud to be a Victorian. Tasmania is the only state voting yes, according to this poll, at 56%. So the final Redbridge poll, remember Cross Samaras, the director, former Labor campaign deputy director, that had yes at 39%, no at 61%. 1%. Then we had a in-depth poll by this British company, Focal Data, which did it by electorate. I think they also had 61-39. There's so many polls, I might have got some of them mixed up, but no is winning in all of them. So only 22 federal electorates are going to be recording a yes vote, according to this poll, and they are all in the inner cities. Even the 2 Northern Territory electorates, where a lot of Aboriginal Australians live, are voting no, which blows apart that 80% of Indigenous Australians support the Voice polling. These are the only electorates that are going to be voting yes. There are 3 electorates which are recording over 80%. So that is Bob Katter's seat of Kennedy, Nationals leader David Littleprod's seat of Morona, and the National held seat of Mallee in Victoria, held by the Nationals, and Webster. So looking at this, every state and territory apart from the ACT is going to be voting no. But despite this, Anthony Albanese, he is still trying to get the celebrity endorsements. There was another American who supported the yes vote, Jason Momoa, who played Aquaman and the wife of Khaleesi in Game of Thrones. So joins Shaq as an American who is supporting the Voice. And then there was in the rural Victorian town of Shepparton, there was a concert, Yes 23 Now and Forever, which featured Jimmy Barnes and also that fat Indigenous rapper, Andrew Briggs, who also calls himself Senator Briggs and also is apparently a comedian as well, and was part of the weekly alleged comedy satirical program with Charlie Pickering on the ABC. Now, Anthony Dillon last night recalled how Andrew Briggs abused him in an airport, and Anthony Dillon didn't know who he was. And so when somebody comes up to you and just aggressively abuses you, well, you're going to move away because you don't know. He didn't know who he was, and so you avoid somebody who's being aggressive towards you. He released a condescending ad, which had him talking to 2 white women. I don't know why he picked 2 white women, not a white man and white woman. I mean, if you pick 2 white women who apparently are ignorant about the Voice, isn't that, and you're educating them, isn't that a slightly sexist ad? You're sort of implying that they're bimbos and airheads. Now, I won't show you that ad, but I'll show you instead Rukshan Fernando's clever edit, where he edits himself talking to the 2 girls when they're asking about the details of the referendum.
How are you going
with the whole voice referendum thing?
Oh, it's been so confusing. I mean, the Prime Minister hasn't even provided us with all the details.
Wait, really?
If you listen to the people that actually designed the Uluru Statement from the Heart, they tell you it's like between 18 and 26 pages long.
Actually?
Why hasn't the Prime Minister shown us those details? Let me show you the website where you can see it. You guys have been searching up Ray Martin. You've seen that video, yeah? He thinks you guys are dickheads and dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me show you what these guys are saying about the Uluru Statement from the Heart.
So the Uluru Statement, many people don't know, is 18 pages long.
The Uluru Statement is in fact 18 pages long.
Uluru Statement from the Heart is 1 page.
Do you agree with most of what is said in those 25 pages?
I haven't read it.
You haven't read it?
It's not just the 1-page invitation to the Australian people. So the Uluru Statement is roughly 18 pages long.
I haven't read it.
You haven't read it?
There's 120 pages. Why would I?
I urge everybody read that whole document.
Okay, well, you need to tell people about that, the Googling thing.
They should know about that.
Wow.
See? It's more than just 1 page. And they're not even telling you these simple details. You know what? Do your own research and find out exactly what the Voice to Parliament is about.
Now, remember at the launch of the London Yes campaign, which was fronted by former Prime Minister Julia Gillard, there was that drag queen in an Australian flag dress draped in an Aboriginal flag singing John Farnham's You're the Voice. You thought that was bad? Well, this week there's another Vote Yes song, which I will play for you now.
It's your chance, it's the Voice, October 14th, it's your choice. Referendum, make it clear or wait another 30 years. Cause concerns you've misheard, it's not a handout, it's been heard. The power lies in what you write, so listen, there's no real divide. We didn't start the fire, it was all burning, the world's been turning. We didn't start the fire, no we didn't light it, but we tried to fight.
Now, viewers will be able to see they've put Indigenous art on the LGBT Pride Progress flag, amazingly. And yes, that is just another doozy for the Yes campaign. If they could get any more cringe and condescending. Now, we also had another corporate endorsement of the Voice. Now, we already had an endorsement from Pfizer for the Voice. Now, the other global big pharma mRNA vaccine manufacturer, Moderna, they posted on their LinkedIn that they supported the Voice. They said, advocating for inclusion, diversity and belonging is intrinsic to Moderna's values and guides our support for Australia's First Nations people to have a rightful place in our nation. Inclusion, diversity and belonging. Well, if you don't take our products, and you remember the Chief Minister of the Northern Territory, Michael Gunner, he took Aboriginals from remote communities who were close contacts or COVID positive, and took them up to Darwin in the Howard Springs quarantine camp. So Moderna, the irony of them supporting the Voice there. Though of course Moderna and Pfizer say that they had nothing to do with government mandating that citizens take their products. Now, over the weekend, I attended the annual March for the Babies in Melbourne, which takes place every year on as close to the anniversary as possible of the passage of the Victorian Abortion Law Reform Bill 2008, which legalised abortion up until birth and laid the groundwork for similar bills to be passed all around Australia. It is chaired by former Victorian Liberal MLC Bernie Finn, who Matthew Guy kicked out of the party room because he didn't like, he decided that all of a sudden he didn't like Bernie Finn's pro-life views, even though Bernie Finn has been a pro-life Liberal in the party for 40 years. Bernie Finn just fell short in his re-election bid. He ran for the Democratic Labor Party. He is going to be running for the Family First Party for the Victorian Senate at the next federal election. I caught up with him at the end of the rally. Now, despite it was a week before the Voice referendum debate, which is sucking all the political oxygen, it was attended by 2,000 people, which was impressive. And the official counter march for the babies, that was actually cancelled by the organizer, that fat cunt Christopher Johnson, who Avi Yemeni finally confronted. He's the Antifa triggered, angry guy who every rally he goes to, just in case Avi Yemeni shows up, he carries a chopping board with him where that says Avi Yemeni is a wife basher. And so Avi decided to confront him, and of course just went off his triggered brain, because these leftists, they are just triggered emotional man babies. And in the end, Victoria Police took him away. Now, he's a tough-talking prick online as well. He's on Twitter as CJ Murrumbina, and now he's limited his replies. So yeah, being famous is not is not really enjoying it. Now, apparently, he said he did attend in disguise as an old man, but managed to, well, I guess, control his emotions. Dawn Browning says, God, Tim said the C word. Well, there's no other word to describe such a fatso like Christopher Johnson there. And he was also one of the attendees at the pro-health rally against the freedom activists at the end of 2021. Now, all the pro-abortionists could muster is, I captured it on camera, was this pathetic display when Bernie Finn was speaking outside the new Premier Jacinta Allen's office. And I've got the clip here.
This is the office of the Premier of Victoria. We have just seen the end of the most pro-abortion Premier in the histories, or the state's history. What we have to do now is send a very clear message to the new Premier, to Jacinta Allen, even though she's in Emily's list, even though she's in pro-abortionist, we must send her a message that if she wants to stay Premier, she has to stop the killing. She has to stop the killing as a priority. 20,000 babies are killed in this state every year.
Yes, that's all they could muster, these triggered third and fourth ways pro-abortion feminists. One of the shirts was pro-abortion, anti-fascist. The other one was pro-life is a lie. Now, moving on to, well, what is the biggest global story, or should I say global tragedy, and that is the Hamas assault on southern Israel, which at the moment, over 700 Israelis have been killed, over 2,000 wounded, and 100 abducted by Hamas, including those 260 people who found dead at that desert music festival. So it was called the Rem Music Festival, and all of a sudden these Hamas, they're in these makeshift helicopters, just flew across the border and, well, killed 260 of them and kidnapped many of them. And it's hard to believe that Mossad and the other Israeli defense intelligence agencies did not see this attack coming. They were completely blindsided by it. even though it's the 50th anniversary of Yom Kippur. Obviously, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, he has been probably more focused on internal Israeli politics, given that there's been these mass protests across cities in Israel against his government's changes to limit the ability of the country's high court to strike down a government or laws passed by the Israeli parliament, the Knesset. And so even though it's 50 years almost to the day of the Yom Kippur War, when Egypt and Syria attempted to invade Israel there, and that led to, because that was the third Arab-Israeli war. Now, since the 1947 UN, or basically partition of British Palestine into Israel and Palestine, every time the Palestinian Arabs have attacked the Israeli settlement or nation, Israel has taken more land. And in 2005, the then Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon removed all Israeli settlements from Gaza, and that is when Hamas was voted in by the Palestinian people. The secular Palestinian Liberation Organization, Fatah, led by Yasser Arafat, that died when he died. Hamas is listed as a terrorist organization in Australia and by many other nations. Now, Israel, as we speak, they are preparing, a full, they call siege of Gaza, which is another word for invasion. And so the Israeli defense minister has ordered the cutting off of food, water, and electricity, because Israel has the ability to blockade because Gaza is, the residents of Gaza, they rely basically on foreign aid, and also the Israeli army allowing all the food, water, and electricity to come in. And so this is not surprising. And there's already been return airstrikes on Gaza, where there have been so far 504 Palestinians killed, 2,843 wounded, and 123,000 displaced. And obviously what Hamas has done, it is absolutely abhorrent. Nobody can defend it or deflect or excuse it, or try, which it seems that the far left, the Victorian Socialists and the New South Wales Greens have done. They've just already said that, we stand with Palestine, and their killing of Palestinian families and children. So they just immediately deflect. I mean, the murder, killing of innocent civilians, families, and children on both sides is abhorrent. I'm a anti-war libertarian. I want what Miss America beauty contest contestants want: world peace. I know that we don't live in a dream utopia, but this is going to be a horrific war. Israel is going to go as hard into Gaza. They're going to seize it, and they want to turn Hamas into hummus, make the Hamas leadership into a gooey substance like hummus is, if I may may use that pun. And now Israel, they will win. They will win. When I interviewed an Israeli who was living in Tel Aviv, he runs the SJW Central YouTube channel at the beginning of 2020. He said that Netanyahu and the Israeli Defense Force could basically just flatten Gaza. They could completely destroy it. But they're showing mercy to the Palestinians, because, well, they know that if they go in too hard, the Israelis, then they're going to be criticized by many in the international community. Obviously, on the far left and in the conservative establishment, I mean, they are like the far left. They are pro-Palestine cheerleaders no matter what, and on the established conservative right, they jizz for Israel. They defend Israel no matter what. I mean, Peter Dutton has said that Anthony Albanese and Penny Wong, they haven't condemned Hamas and stood up for Israel enough. I mean, no. For the pro-Israel Zionists, no no messages of support that Israel should be able to defend itself is enough for them. And obviously the deaths going on, it's abhorrent. But why is so much of the oxygen of Australia's political class and leadership in this conflict over on the other side of the world? I mean, there's 9.7 million Israeli citizens, 4.8 million people living in Palestinian territories. That's half the population of Australia. And there has been bloodshed and civil conflicts in Sudan and Niger this year. There was a lot of you will remember the Saudi blockade of Yemen because they were in a proxy war with Iran. There was this Yemeni civil war, and the Trump administration, to their condemnation, supported the Saudi blockade, which saw starving Yemeni children. That was one of the good things that Biden did, was end support for that Saudi blockade. And so, but it's the same in the US, that their media and political class is fixated on this conflict, and this could have ramifications for the 2024 presidential cycle. The Zionist neocons, rhinos in the Republican Party, they will probably rally around the most pro-Israel Zionist candidate now, Nikki Haley, who is beating Ron DeSantis in several polls. This is how this is what she said the attack on Israel by Hamas meant.
But let's step back, because I want the American people to kind of take this in for a second. Just imagine that here the Israelis woke up and communities were bombarded. Families were murdered. Women and children were taken hostage, dragged through the streets. The elderly were taken. All of this has happened in front of everyone, on top of thousands of rockets that hit Israel. This should be personal for every woman and man in America. Why? Because when they did this surprise attack, when they took these hostages, when they murdered these families, they were celebrating. And what were they celebrating? They were saying death to Israel, death to America. This is not just an attack on Israel. This is an attack on America, because they hate us just as much. And what we have to understand is this is the reason that we have to unite around making sure our enemies do not hurt our friends. America can never be so arrogant to think we don't need friends, just like we needed them on 9/11. That's why Ukraine needs us when Russia's doing this. That's why Israel needs us when Hamas and Iran are doing this. And I'll say this to Prime Minister Netanyahu: finish them. Finish them. Hamas did this. You know Iran's behind it. Finish them. They should have hell to pay for what they've just done.
Or maybe, this is just a thought, how about the US puts America first and Americans first, and, not give military aid to Israel, and also not aid to the Palestinian Authority as well. It's another conflict that the US funds both sides. Now, we've had government buildings and landmarks in Western nations all around the world lit up in the Israeli flag colors of blue and white. Our Australian Parliament House is lit up in the Israeli flag colours, and so is the Sydney Opera House, even though there is a pro-Palestinian rally tonight, which has gone from the Sydney Town Hall to the Sydney Opera House, and New South Wales Police actually removed a man there who was carrying an Israeli flag for a breach of the peace.
My name is Sergeant John Marr, okay? You've been arrested in relation to breach of the peace.
For doing what?
For what?
Having a flag.
Breaching the peace. I'm
Having
holding
a
a
flag.
flag. You're breaching the peace.
Having a flag.
Oh, come on, mate. You can have my
There's
flag.
there's 100 flags in there.
You're going to come down here? I just...
And now in another example, I should say, that mass immigration has seen immigrants bring their foreign grievances here in Islamic-dominated suburbs of Western Sydney. Last night, there were celebrations. There was fireworks in the suburb of Greenacre.
Hey, bro. Live from Greenacre. Live from Greenacre.
Seems like it's on its way to be a no-go zone area like there are in France and Belgium. Now in Lakemba, there was a Sydney imam. His name is Ibrahim Diagton, who addressed the crowd praising the Hamas attack, and he was revealed as an early backer of the Voice. And Anthony Albanese, the Prime Minister, he was at the Lakemba Mosque on Friday, talking about the imam's support for the Voice, and they were telling Muslims to vote yes for the Voice. So that's another strategy that has backfired on Anthony Albanese. So this is what Imam Ibrahim Daldin told Muslims in Lakemba, a gathering last night.
Smiling, and I'm happy. I'm elated. It's a day of courage. It's a day of happiness. It's a day of pride. It's a day of victory. This is the day we've been waiting for.
That is extremely disturbing coming out of Sydney. And ABC 7:30 tonight, they aired a story about the Sikh separatist activists in Australia who are advocating for a independent Sikh state Khalistan in the middle of India. Remember, we had that mini riot between Indian Sikhs and Hindus in the Melbourne CBD when the Sikhs had that fake referendum on Khalistani independence. Obviously, Canada is in a Justin Trudeau. He actually tweeted that he's been talking with both the Indian and Palestinian governments. He's dealing with two internal with two foreign ethnic groups fighting each other in his own country. So this is the thing about mass migration, whether it's the Sikhs versus the Hindus of Indian origin, or it's the Arabs against Israel, because there's been pro-Palestinian rallies in major Canadian cities, in New York, in London as well. And so this is the thing that even though our political class is condemning Hamas and saying Israel has the right to defend itself, all of a sudden there's already this community who is ready to celebrate any attacks on Israel. So this has got a you would say a long while to go, because Israel, well, they want to, they have declared war. They are going to destroy Hamas, and Israel is going to win. I mean, Avi Yemeni, one thing he has tweeted, that's correct. Spoiler alert: Israel is going to win. He's gone into full IDF mode on Twitter X. I mean, that's one of the main reasons that RV got involved in political activism, to be a pro-Israeli voice. And obviously, this could have wider geopolitical implications. Iran has been accused of funding and collaborating with these attacks. They've denied it, even though their parliament has celebrated the attack on Israel. And at the moment, the Abraham Accords are going on between Israel, Bahrain, Morocco, Sudan, and the UAE, and Saudi Arabia, which are about, well, all these Islamic nations recognizing Israel's right to exist and having diplomatic relations, because Saudi Arabia, the UAE, they, with all of their oil money, they're of course buying international sports teams and events. They want to be accepted into the global order, and they know they can't do that if they don't recognize Israel. And so this could potentially throw a spanner in the works. There is, of course, up in the northern Israeli border with Lebanon, Hezbollah. They are also planning an attack on Israel. Dawn Browning says, mute, or is it me? It's, as far as I know, no, Dawn. My sound is working. Let me know if for anyone else, if the sound is not working. So very horrific violence occurring in the Middle East at the moment. Now let's move on to, well, some actual good violence, violence which is justified, and we still have to say alleged child care pedophile Ashley Paul Griffith. He was bashed in custody. So due to a change in the Queensland law, he is able to be named. He faces more than 1,600 charges relating to the alleged sexual abuse of 91 girls at childcare centres in Brisbane and Sydney and abroad over a 15-year period. So he had a cocktail of liquids allegedly thrown at him, which is referred to as jail napalm. So according to the Courier Mail, the prisoners may have added even jam to the hot water to make the assault more painful and to stick to him. When the sugar is heated, the boiling water sticks to the skin, whereas thrown causing a severe pain. So he was taken to taken to hospital from the Wellstone Correctional Centre for facial burns, and also attacked at the same time was the convicted murderer of 13-year-old Daniel Morecambe back in 2003, Brett Peter Cowan. So nobody will be shedding a tear at the violence perpetrated against these two absolute scum, grubs, disgusting humans. And in case you missed it, there was a former West Australian Nationals MP now, James Hayward. He has been convicted of child sexual abuse after a trial. This was back in late August. Did any of you hear about this? It was reported in the media, but it should be big news that a lawmaker is now a convicted pedophile. He was found guilty of directing an 8-year-old girl to indecently touch him on 2 occasions, which that just distresses me just reading it, I mean, it is such disgusting, depraved, absolutely evil conduct. So he will. I don't even read the rest of this story. It's just too. It's just, it goes into what he's alleged to have said about that, alleged to have said to that 8-year-old girl. It's just really distressing and absolutely abhorrent. Lady of Charlotte says maybe we could send them to the bearded men in the Middle East. Well, there is no death penalty in Australia for anything, but if you did a snap poll, there would be overwhelming majority support for the death penalty for child rapists, molesters, and pedophiles. Ron DeSantis has passed a law that decrees the death penalty for those who molest those under the age of 12, but that could be struck down by the Supreme Court as unconstitutional, but we will see there. Now let's go over to the UK. Now, I covered last week the absolute hysteria in the British media when now fired GB News host Lawrence Fox said that he wouldn't shag Ava Emmons, that disgusting third and fourth wave feminist who likes that men are terrified of approaching women, and disparaged the idea of a minister for men. And Calvin Robinson was also fired by GB News, the home of free speech, for not going on air in solidarity. Apparently, the investigation into Dan Wootton is ongoing. This week, Lawrence Fox was arrested in his home.
Morning, guys. In London's knife-ridden capital city, where a 15-year-old girl was stabbed to death with a sword, we've got 1, 2, you can show them, 1, 2, another 3 upstairs, stealing, going through my house to intimidate me, because this is what the police are. They don't police with consent anymore. They police with fear and intimidation. That is the Stasi police force that we've got nowadays. Instead of being on the streets solving crimes like the murder of the poor 15-year-old girl, they're on all over social media. But I'd take it. The ULEZ scam cameras outside of London are the outer ULEZ zone is a complete scam. There's no scientific evidence. Sadiq Khan rubbished the evidence and had it rewritten to serve his own needs. No one voted it. It's the beginning and bringing in of a surveillance state. And he's trying to make noises so that I can't say that. It's the beginning of a surveillance state, and these boys are the Stasi. Stasi. Bless them. So have a lovely day. I'm going to spend my day in the clink, innit?
So Lawrence Fox, he wasn't arrested over what he said about Ava Evans. It was he was arrested on suspicion of conspiring to damage ULEZ cameras. They are the ultra low emission zone policing cameras that Sadiq Khan has put up to catch cars and charge them a £12.50 every day for driving around London, just going about their business if they haven't been if they're deemed to not be low emissions. And so this was the comments that got him in trouble with the police for basically pre-crime.
You're aware of the Blade Runners. Is there any particular message that you'd like to give about the ULEZ cameras, about the Blade Runners, about what's being done there, cutting down on the cameras? It's in the press every day. The police are now looking for them. They've arrested a couple. What is your, as Reclaim, what is your stance on the Blade Runners?
Well, yeah, again, this is where Andrew gets a bit annoyed with me, because he says you can't encourage criminality. But I say it's digital fly tipping. Sticking up these cameras and stuff like that, it's just digital fly tipping. It wasn't there 5 minutes ago. Why should it be there now? I encourage them to tear down every single camera there is, and I will be joining them to tear down cameras as well. because I'm one of those people that puts my money where my mouth is. So I'm pretty close with several, and I will be. Yeah, I'll be out there with my angle grinder. I had a guy the other day phone me up and say, he's a very, very wealthy guy, and he said, I want to I'll put 10 grand behind the counter at, several Wixes in London, and anyone who wants to go and do some removal of this digital fly tipping, wants to go and clean up their community, can go and get an angle grinder for free. They can get all the gear that they need for free, and it's all on me. So I would encourage mass removal of the surveillance state, because once it's there, you cannot remove it.
Are you interested in testing the law around this if some people get arrested?
I would be happy to be arrested myself. So, I won't be, when I go out and take their cameras down, which I will be doing, I will be taking my phone with me so they know exactly where I am. Because the Blade Runners are clever. They know what they're doing. But I would happily sit there and sit in court and go, who voted for this? What's your evidence for the Outer London Clean Air Zone? What's your evidence for that? Why are you doing this? I'd sit there and do it, but I do that. I've got several court cases going on, as you know. But I would.
And now some will say, well, Lawrence Foxy basically signed his own arrest warrant with what he said there. But there was a whole documentary that was aired on Channel 4, which featured the journalist Chris Packham, advocating for climate activists to break the law. This is him talking about it on Good Morning Britain.
We just quote to you what you say at the very end of the documentary, because this summarises really what your journey of discovery takes you on. You say, it's time for me to make up my own mind and decide if I should break the law. For me, myself, I'm not asking for anyone to break the law. So long as no one's hurt, I give my support to people who break the law for climate change. I have to raise my voice. I have reached a point where I now consider it ethically the reasonable thing to do. Now, for Chris Packham, mainstream environmentalist, mainstream television presenter in our living rooms most Sundays, if he says that law breaking in this context is ethical and you support it, that is a big step. And that's going out on Channel 4 tonight, not some obscure YouTube channel. That's going out on Channel 4. Are you sure you've done the right thing?
Well, look, has Rishi Sunak done the right thing today? We're reining in on our net zero commitments.
And we are still waiting for the Met Police to arrest Chris Packham there for, conspiring to break the law there. And we've seen the police just basically facilitate a lot of these climate activists, Just Stop Oil, the worst, blocking the road, and in fact removing motorists for trying to tear down their signs. And now it is party conference season, so we've had the Tory party, Conservative Party conference, and Rishi Sunak, he's going down the populist path, telling conservatives what they want to hear, and the fake conservative news networks such as GB News and Talk TV, they just ate it up. And of course, they thought he was stunning and brave for saying this about the transgender agenda.
And it also shouldn't be controversial for parents to know what their children are being taught in school about relationships. Patients should know when hospitals are talking about men or women. And we shouldn't get bullied. And we shouldn't get bullied into believing that people can be any sex they want to be. They can't. A man is a man and a woman is a woman. That's just common sense.
Yes, stunning and brave. Even though he's not going to pass a law to stop the police arresting people for misgendering online. In fact, his signature policy announcement was following his, globalist comrade Jacinta Ardern in this phasing out of smoking. So Jacinta Ardern, one of her last acts as Prime Minister was to ban anyone born after 2010 from ever buying and the Spectator here, UK, says from buying a pack of fags. You're not allowed to call cigarettes fags anymore. Bummer fag has a different meaning these days. So Rishi Sunak, he has pledged basically to outlaw smoking within a generation. So, as this article points out, in the future, a 33-year-old will be able to buy cigarettes while a 32-year-old will not be. And this will just prohibition just leads to black market and gang violence. In fact, the arson attacks we're seeing on shops here in Melbourne are due with the illegal tobacco trade, and the Australian Federal Police spend a lot of their time tracking down illegal tobacco growing. And when they could be catching pedophiles and child abusers. But the federal police just spend a lot of resources fighting, well, an additional substance to the war on drugs. And because this is going to be a conservative government in the UK that's going to be introducing this, an alleged conservative government, I do hope that our health minister here in Australia, Mark Butler, doesn't get any ideas. And because, well, you want another example of how prohibition doesn't work? Prohibition of alcohol in the United States in the 1920s, all of the gang violence. And so this is just going to lead to, well, more organized crime. And so this is just another nail in the coffin of the failed Conservative government in the UK over the past 13 years. There's still a year to go until the next general election. They deserve to lose. They're completely useless. Now, there was some rumours because Nigel Farage was at the Tory party conference. He was there, well, in his capacity as a GB News host. But he was. There was a lot of Tory delegates who gave him a hero's welcome, even though he hadn't attended a Conservative Party conference in 30 years. And there was even a video of him dancing with Priti Patel, who it was a pretty useless Home Secretary and stopping the boats. I hope that he, when they stopped dancing, gave her an earful. She's just as useless as Suella Braverman is turning out to be. Nigel Farage at the conference of the Reform Party, which is successor to the Brexit Party. The chair of that party is now Richard Tice, who is also a GB News host now. He defected from Talk TV over to GB News. Nigel Farage says he wouldn't be joining the Conservative Party and would remain with the Reform Party. Now, it's easy to get the Reform Party, the successor to the Brexit Party, confused with Lawrence Fox's Reclaim Party. Now, Reclaim actually has a member of the House of Commons now, I should say, which is the former Conservative MP, Andrew Bridgen, who was expelled by the Conservative Party for speaking against the COVID vaccines. Now, other British news. Now, a person who's been desperate for public sympathy is ITV This Morning presenter Holly Willoughby, or as Katie Hopkins calls her, Holly Willabooby. Of course, her former co-host, Philip Schofield, resigned when it was revealed what everyone suspected, and what a lot of people at ITV knew, that he was bumming the runner, who he claims that he didn't bum him when he was underage, but said the relationship was unwise. Philip Schofield, you remember, he tried the Kevin Spacey strategy of coming out as gay to, so he would be celebrated as stunning and brave, but the truth came out eventually. Holly Willoughby, she is, of course, been trying to rehabilitate her image. And now she's got some public sympathy with a man, Gavin Blump. Look at the size of him. He's like, this doesn't look like a real article. So he has been charged with an alleged kidnap plot. Is it Gavin Plump or Gavin Plump? Is accused of contacting a hitman in the US and allegedly making a shrink ray as part of an alleged plan to snatch the TV star and kill her. And the sketch artist makes him look, well, gives him a more flattering appearance there. What was he going to kidnap her to eat her? I mean, this is sort of one of the stories that you think of coming out of one of those fake news satire websites. Like, you really think that, well, he could waddle and go and grab Holly Willoughby. And of course, Katie Hopkins came out with another classic Holly Willoughby satirical video about this credible threat against poor Holly Willoughby.
Oh, why am I running? Yeah, I've got a stalker. Yeah, it's a credible threat, I know. He's 450 stone. I know he can't fit out the front door of his house, but it's a credible threat. Last time he was a credible threat to anything was Dunkin' Donuts or Family Buckets at KFC, but it's definitely a credible threat. And it's strange because when I was the golden girl of TV, I never had any of these credible threats. Not when I had my boobs out and my Marks Spencer's contract, but now I'm deeply unpopular because I pushed in at the Queen's funeral and uncovered up for a pedo perv. I've got all of these credible threats. It's very distressing. I might have to not turn up for my TV show. Even my mate, Gordon the groomer, has come out of the broom cupboard in support. So, yeah, I'm just gonna keep on running. I mean, even the guy in court that did the sketches, he's helping. He covered up the guy's quadruple chins. Yeah, okay. Well, it's dedicated to all the women who have legitimate stalkers, who live in genuine fear, often on their own, trying to protect their kids, who cry for help and the police never come. And they never come until it's too late. And then those police forces say that there were lessons to be learned.
So a serious message there at the end by Katie Hopkins, but the start was just another hilarious satirical video by her. Now, a few in the comments, such as Barkey, critical of Katie Hopkins, saying she's a staunch Zionist. Jenny Talia says Katie Farage, Charlie Kirk, Joel Jamel, all turning point. But as Paleoconservative Australia said, I did a good interview with Katie Hopkins in 2020. She was an absolute darling. She, for somebody who's called the biggest bitch in Britain, she was absolutely a joy to interview. I mean, the fact that she humbly appeared on my Australian YouTube show, I'll be forever grateful. She was absolutely great to interview and also answer the big questions as well, or should I say the tough questions. Now let's go over to the US, where the House of Representatives is looking for a new speaker after Matt Gaetz, the MAGA Republican, ousted Kevin McCarthy after he snuck in that aid to Ukraine and the continuous spending bill. Zelensky is he's probably feeling, oh, my days as being the Churchill, the golden global leader are now over. Everyone's going to be standing with Israel now, not standing with Ukraine. Now, there does seem to be some unity that Jim Jordan could be the next speaker there. Donald Trump has endorsed Jim Jordan. So despite all of these alleged Republicans, these rhino conservatives, saying Matt Gaetz, he blew the place up and didn't have a plan. What reckless, selfish. Well, there does seem to be a better candidate emerging. And of course, Nancy Mace, which this article is about, she was one who voted for Kevin McCarthy's ousting. So obviously, it's no surprise that the rhinos chucked a fit. They're like, "Oh, we were making such progress on scrutinizing the Biden administration, and look what happened." Well, it's over the years, the Republican-controlled legislatures Congress have never achieved anything of substance. They've been completely useless. I mean, if you don't stand for, make sure you stand for something. What is the actual point? And we've had an interesting turnaround by the Biden administration. Is that well? The Biden administration is now clearing the way for the Trump's border wall to start to resume building. So the Biden administration has waived 26 federal laws to expedite the building of a border wall in the Rio Grande Valley, because, well, even New York is now, well, they've realized what illegal immigration can do to a city. So under Joe Biden's watch, more than 7 million illegal aliens are poured over the US border, though Joe Biden was asked, "Do you believe the border wall works?" And he said no. And he said, "Who believes this?" Now, of course, Karine Jean-Pierre, his press secretary, was tasked with mopping up. And, well, I do empathize with her. I mean, she did the best that she could.
If you have to build a border wall, but you don't think that it's going to work, then once it's done, are you just going to tear it down?
I'm not getting into hypotheticals from here. I'm just telling you what I can tell you from here. The facts are that DHS is complying with the law. This is from this was under fiscal year 2019 under Republican leadership, and DHS is required to do this. The president asked multiple times of Congress to reappropriate. They did not, and we're not complying by the law. Thanks, everybody.
I mean, I do think she does a better job than Circle Back Jen Psaki, even though she was a diversity hire, a lesbian immigrant of color, or black immigrant of color, I should say. And Gavin Newsom, he picked a black lesbian to replace the now deceased Californian Senator Dianne Feinstein, who died at the age of 90. So has selected former Kamala Harris advisor Lafo Zaya Butler to fill the Senate vacancy until there'll be a special election, which will be next year. I don't think it'll be this November. So she'll be the only black woman serving in the US Senate and the first openly LGBTQ plus person to represent California in the chamber. Now, she doesn't actually live in California at the moment. She lives in Maryland and Washington, DC, but she is considered to be a savvy political operative and would be an ally if Gavin Newsom decided to run for president in either 2024 or 2028. Now, obviously, it's not just the illegal aliens which are causing social unrest and also crime in US cities. It's also the Black Lives Matter movement, which I covered last week, the Philadelphia looting, which was live streamed by that brain dead live streamer Meatballs, who then claimed when she got arrested for filming all of that looting, claimed that it was racist. Well, in New York this week, we had a white Antifa activist murdered by a Black Lives Matter activists. Have I got the footage here? I don't think I have. Well, in the meantime, I will play. It is Mark Dice. He trolled Fox News hilariously.
And that's where they declare a Mr. and a Miss Morgan State. And we've got Tyrone on the phone with us now. Tyrone, when you say poker game, what exactly happened? What transpired?
Well, first we were watching, we all get together every Tuesday night, and we watch Tucker Carlson's show on X. We used to watch him on Fox News. Obviously, he's not there no more. And still being the most credible guy in the media in America, we always get together to watch Tucker Carlson. And I think he's doing probably better now that he's not with Fox News, because the corporate media always controls what the teleprompter readers are able to say. And now that he doesn't have that hand.
Thank you, Tyrone. Maybe we can work to get Don back on the phone. Tracy, we can get that. Clearly, that was not a student at Morgan State University.
And now the man who was arrested with the
Brian, why'd you do it?
Brian, what did he do to you? Brian, what did he do to you?
Brian, why did you do it?
You want to apologize, Brian?
So that's the black man who was arrested with the murder of Antifa activist Ryan Carlson. And you saw the media, they're like, oh, why'd you do it? And his lawyer said, oh, he's a great kid. See, he was a good boy who didn't do nothing. Well, let's have a look at the security footage here. I mean, look at the girlfriend there. She's not even immediately shocked at all. And I don't want to victim blame, but Ryan just should have ran away. When that's happening, you just walk away, don't engage. But his girlfriend, so her name is Claudia Morales. She was uncooperative with the police investigation because she didn't want a black man to be charged with her boyfriend's murder. And his friends of Ryan Carson are crowdfunding on GoFundMe. Not for to cover funeral costs, so they can have some time off to grieve. They're exploiting their friend's death for financial gain. It's absolutely disgusting. Now, to end the show, those weren't gunshots. It was a stabbing death. I don't know where those gunshots were coming from. And I mean, it was New York. Now, you will remember last week that there was a Maori Party candidate who alleged that she was the victim of a racially motivated home invasion. Her father said that somebody tried to break into the house and was shouting racial slurs. Well, an update on that. The home of Te Pau Maori candidate Hana Rauda Matapak have concluded she was not the target of racially motivated attacks. But they said a person was issued with a trespass notice. So that is interesting that, well, it nearly always turns out this way. Somebody claims that they were a victim of a racist attack, and then the police conclude that that was not the case. So it now they've tried to basically as a backup, said, well, the man who was issued the trespass notice was a National Party member. He simply went to Macquarie's home to offer congratulations for high polling numbers. The individual was invited inside, but she was not available, so they returned home. Another person from the home then went to a party member's home and asked for their name and phone number so he could update them on Marco Clark's campaign. This afternoon, this individual has been issued with a trespass notice and is bemused and disappointed by the whole situation. That's kind of weird that National Party member did that, but he was certainly not going there. Well, the police have concluded to go and harm her on racial grounds there. Now, that concludes Tim's News Explosion for another week. I'll be back tomorrow night with the theorists with Andy Knott, where we're obviously going to be discussing this outbreak of war between Hamas and Israel. Andy has been trolling me in the chat about what's he said here. That he said the Israelis brought this on themselves by doing apartheid in the area. They need to stop being racist. Yeah, Andy has really retarded, simplistic, almost leftist views on the Arab-Israeli conflict. What's the other said? Yes, continue the Western war of propaganda, Tim. Calm down, Andrew Bolt. What else is Andy said up here? Don't cry, Tim. And what's he got up here? He said, one thing the globalists will fight super hard for is abortion. They really think there's too many of us. Well, Andy didn't attend the March for the Babies because he is a pro-abortion eugenics. Really disgusting, in my opinion. And he said something around here as well. Andy will be able to reply tomorrow, but he's decided to make himself known in this chat as well. What else has he said up here? He said, hey, Tim, hope you're not too upset about your beloved Israel. Tim loved Israel because they attack the anti-gay Palestinians. Well, that's a fact that Israel is very gay friendly, and there's many gay members of the Israeli Defense Force. So Andy and I will go head to head tomorrow night on this. There will obviously be an update there, but yes, in my opinion, Andy has really almost leftist retarded views when it comes to Israel Palestine. I mean, he might as well join the Students for Palestine, even Queers for Palestine. I mean, this is the Queers for Palestine, the most ridiculous group. It's like chickens for KFC. Exactly right. And I also forgot to show this meme here that Trump building a wall is racist, but Biden building a wall is not racist. Now, we'll also have because the New Zealand general election is the same day as the Voice Referendum Day. So at 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time, there will be a special Trad Tasman Talk live stream, which will be anchored by myself and Dewey DeBoer and Stephen Berry. We are getting the band back together for one night only. I've already set up the live event here. So The New Zealand polls close at 7 p.m. New Zealand time. That's why we're starting at 5 p.m. And the polls begin to close on the eastern states, New South Wales, Victoria, and Tasmania at 6 p.m. Obviously, daylight savings time means that Queensland its polls will close an hour later, South Australia half an hour after, Northern Territory an hour and a half, and Perth 3 hours. So it'll be a big night. We'll have a rotating panel throughout the night. So make sure that you tune in for both for coverage of both events at the same time. And remember, if you want to support the Unshackled instead of sending through a power chat, you can take up a Unshackled membership. So you can donate bronze $5 per month, silver $10 per month, gold $25 per month, platinum $50 per month. I saw Hadra and Anti-Bullying up there say, "I stand with Andy Nolch," fairly conservative Australian says, "Andy is right." And Bruce Kiwi says, "They should just open their borders and embrace multiculturalism." Tom Browning says, "Andy will have a better opinion than most of us. I'm looking forward to her views." And Larrikin says, "Hard solo versus white wine." Well, even if we do the show sober, I'm sure that we'll have some pretty frank exchanges with each other. So until tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Melbourne time on the Theorists YouTube channel. I will put the link into the live chat because make sure that you not just subscribe, click the bell to allow notifications on all Unshackled productions you watch. Make sure you give a thumbs up, comment below as well. And I will see you all tomorrow night. In the meantime, stay safe, stay sane. Only vote once, and make sure that most of you are voting no, that I advise you to vote on the day so your vote is counted quickly. Write NO. So giving you the proper lawful instructions there. Good night, everybody.
Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.